Okay, so just a few words from me. You don't need me to tell you, but I'm going to say it. Hello Ewan, nice to see you. We are living through unprecedented times here, and we're very much in a situation where we are relying on one another to help us through and understanding this rapidly changing situation and the rapidly changing advice that we're getting. And for us, certainly, we feel that community is more important than ever. And through SBN, we have built up this global community, and we want to ensure that this community is put to best use for one and all. We want to support our members with responsible, fact-based insights, always grounded in empathy with you as our community, because we fully appreciate, because we are going through exactly like you are at the moment, the challenges that we're all facing. This morning we had a great insight, afternoon Aeneas, we had a great insight from our fellow Scot out in Beijing, and later this week Scott will provide that information and provide that recording to one and all. It is well worth a listen for China now in week 9 of this situation, and very much coming out of it and talking around the opportunities there. This afternoon, we've got Adam Brodie from Ignition Finance, and we've got Andrew Morrison, both well-kent faces, Andrew of AM Bid. So the way that we're going to run this afternoon, folks, and this is only our second time doing it, so bear with us and we'll always learn through this. Andrew, I was hoping you could give us a short intro primarily around the Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan scheme. That was the one that came out yesterday. So if you could give us your insight and overview around what you've picked up, Andrew, from your expertise there.
Okay, thanks Christine, and hello to everybody that's on this Zoom conference. Recognise quite a few people there from Scottish Business Network. So just to say, obviously time's limited, so this CBILS, the Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan Scheme, there's quite a lot of information that you can pick up about this on the internet. There's information on the Scottish Government's website about it as well. There's also information on all of the major banks' websites as well, and the BBC business section also has a very good article about it as well. Basically, it's designed as a support facility for small medium enterprises to access loans, overdrafts, invoice finance and asset finance, and typically for up to £250,000. 80% of the lender's risk is covered by the UK government. So what that means is if the business defaults on the loan, then the UK government would pick up 80% of that. So the lender would be basically sitting with the other 20%. They are not allowed to ask for personal guarantees such as houses. So if you're ever asked to put your home up as security, then that is basically not allowed under this CBILS. So you shouldn't be doing it anyway. The repayment terms are up to 6 years for term loans and asset finance, but overdraft and invoice facilities will be for up to 3 years. There's no upfront fees, and interest is covered by the government for up to 12 months. Companies do remain 100% liable for the debt repayments, and total unsecured lending of up to £250,000. So what I would say though is it's very important that first of all think, do you need this money? So are there perhaps other things you could do? We won't talk about it so much on the call, but there is a thing where staff can be furloughed. That is the Coronavirus Job Retention Scheme. So it's possible to kind of put staff onto the substitutes bench, as it were, and have the government picking up 80% of the salary. So that is one way that you could save money. You could also look to see whether you could extend credit terms. you're perhaps paying bills too quickly. There's all kinds of other things that companies can be doing to save money. But when you're thinking about how to present your case to the bank, and this is, I suppose, what AM Bid, we're all about bidding, all about bid writing, proposal writing. Basically, you have to think of this as a proposal, because the banks can say no to this. It's not necessarily absolutely guaranteed. So it is debt that your business is taking on. So you want to be thinking about how you're going to be presenting your case for that. For example, you would want to definitely have cash flows. Cash flows are just a given, aren't they, in any business proposal? You'd want to think about your cash flows and what they're potentially going to look like over the next few weeks and few months. Quite difficult for all of us to kind of estimate on that, but with cash flows, it's always probably better to think on the lower end of revenues coming in, and think realistically in the current situation. So yeah, you'd want your financial projections, including your income, your balance sheet, your cash flow, and your profit. You'd want to show what it is you're going to be doing with the funding. So this loan, this business debt that you're going to be taking on, what is it going to be used for? Because the bank would definitely want to know that. They'd want to know about your people as well. So who's actually going to be working in the business? What are they going to be doing? The bank will be keen to know how income is going to be coming in as well to your business. You'd want to have your business plan put together. It doesn't necessarily have to be overly long, but it would probably stretch to a number of pages. You'd want to talk about your markets. You might want to talk a little bit about how your markets have been affected by the coronavirus and the shutdown, etc. The shutdown is designed to slow down the spread of the virus, but many people are actually going to be off sick at some point over the next sort of immediate time to maybe even up to 6 to 12 months. So, for example, if your business is now running with less people in it, perhaps due to layoffs or due to furloughing, what if some of your key people took ill for several weeks? What would happen then? So just lots of thinking about. I would say it's very good to be talking to your clients at this time as well, understanding what is going on there, because there really has to be a market for your goods and services. Organisations that are producing things or that are delivering services that are required, actually required during this time, I would think they would find it very easy to access finance. If, for example, you worked in hospitality, I think you may find it difficult, even under this scheme, to access finance, because the hospitality industry in many ways is closed unless you're sort of delivering things to the NHS or to elderly or vulnerable people, or if you were able to create some kind of market that you could deliver food to people's houses, if that was allowed. And I think it's also good to sort of think about how the various measures that are going to be in place, we hope that they're not in place for too long, but the reality is that it might be quite a bit longer. I think Nicola Sturgeon did say that we're talking about 3 weeks to start with, she says, but it is going to be a bit longer than that. We also probably want to think about the economy as well, and kind of what shape the economy is going to be in. I mean, is it going to be recession? I think definitely. Is it going to be depression? We hope not. A very interesting thing on an article on the BBC News website yesterday from the head of the OECD, which is probably one of the world's main economic development organisations, definitely. And he said that this kind of economic curve, as it were, like a letter of the alphabet. He said it is not going to be V. V is you go down quick and you come back up quick. He said it's not going to be that. He says it's probably going to be U, where you go down quick. And he's saying that kind of how long we stay down in the U is the unknown bit. And that's probably, as business owners, you need to be sort of thinking about that, not just about the bigger economy, because people need to be able to afford your goods and services, but you need to sort of be taking a view. If you're going into finance, you're going into debt, you have to be starting to think about how quickly are you going to be able to kind of repay that as well. So is it going to be a U, which we hope? If it's not going to be a V, then we hope it's a U with a very small bit in the middle. But he also said it could be an L, and the L is you go down quick and then you stay down for quite a long time, and that is a depression, unfortunately. So be thinking about that, because even though you're maybe taking on debt that the government is going to be backing, it is still you that is having to sort of take this on to some extent within your business, and it is going to sit in your business. If your business continues, which we hope all our businesses will continue through this, then providing your business continues, then same as any debt, there always is a payback time when you are going to have to pay it back.
Andrew, we've got a couple of minutes left. So from your expertise in completing these government required forms, what are the key elements one must look for when completing the documentation and before submitting it? Is there certain, you would say, top 2 or 3 things that you just remember when you're completing any documentation?
Okay, I will mention that, Christine, and I think you've helped me as well just by saying about the government, because it is good to think about that there are other schemes that people can apply for, like Innovate UK. If you're a technology-based business, you could apply for Innovate UK grant, and getting a grant would even be better than getting a kind of debt loan. The key thing with anything, with any bid, any tender, any funding application, is that you understand it from their perspective, that you can actually think yourself into their perspective. So thinking about here, this application, this business plan or proposal is actually being made to banks and finance houses. They're going to be thinking about how do they get their money back? Because if they get 80% of their money back from the government, it actually means that they have lost 20%. And the more 20% they lose, that isn't good. So really be thinking about it from their perspective, and they're going to want to feel assurance that you've thought through things, that you understand your market, that your cash flow forecasts are as robust as they can be, and that there really is a kind of market, for your goods or services.
Lovely. Andrew, thank you so much. I'm going to move on now to Adam Brodie. I don't have anything coming on specific questions for you, Andrew. I've got a couple of questions at the end. So that was a good summary around, this is the Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan scheme. It's about cash flows, it's about protecting for the future, but it's not the only grant scheme available. And what you're saying is look at that detail about other grant schemes available. So if I've got Adam Brodie there, Adam from Ignition Finance. Thank you, Andrew. We'll probably come back to you as well. Adam, you've been sending out, as many organisations, what I find is incredibly helpful summaries, Adam, around the various loans and grants available there. Do you want to just give us a summary note around the completion of this, about the details of the loans and grants which are available at the moment, Adam?
Yeah, sure. Look, hello, everyone. I hope, first of all, I hope you're all safe and in good health. Just to give you a little bit of background, we're an accountancy and CFO practice. We focus on London-based tech companies, many of whom are SMEs and many of whom are at high risk at the moment of coming under liquidity, short-term liquidity pressure. So we've been trying to stay on top of the news, reaching out to all the different advisors and partners in the SME landscape to share information. And we're not interested at the moment as a business in taking on new clients or anything like that. We just want to see as many UK businesses, keep going and get access to short-term funding if they need it as that business oxygen. So Scott, I think, is going to share some links. First of all, one which is all the different funding options which are available in the short term, which every business should be considering, and that includes the latest ones which come up, and also some ones which have been around for a while which you may not be aware of. I would encourage you all just to have a look through that, because I think there's 11 businessmen and businesswomen on this call, and you're all going to be slightly different. So I would have a look at that when it's sent around by Russell to see what is going to be applicable and what you can do. The other page that we've got is one specific for the business interruption loan. This is, I think Andrew's covered it in great detail and very well, good overview of what's happening there. The only thing I would like to add for now on that is the banks are still reacting and still putting in processes in place. So they are, I would imagine, going to have to prioritize certain cases. So getting your information ready now will help you, looking at whether you're eligible. And the second link, which Scott will share with you, has got eligibility criteria. I've just seen this morning eligibility criteria, viability criteria, and what they're going to be looking for security from one leading bank. And for this loan overall, it's not looking, it is a loan. They are looking at this. The banks are looking at this on a risk basis with loans. So some of our clients who are technology businesses, we are saying to them, we're giving them this advice. By all means, inquire and look to get this loan, but you should be doing 2 things, or 3 things really, actually, as a matter of course. One is calling up HMRC on their coronavirus helpline and asking for a deferral on PAYE and national insurance contributions. Okay, VAT is being automatically deferred, which is going to be a great help from a cash flow point of view to every business. The second of all thing to do is to think about director and shareholder loans. They're going to be the quickest and easiest thing to get into your business if it's available and if it's willing, of course. The third thing to do is thinking about the startup loans, which are available for businesses which have been trading less than 2 years. You can get up to £100,000 under that for a lot of businesses which have been trading less than 2 years.
Just while you're doing that, Adam,
yeah.
I haven't seen any of, we're starting to screen share, thank you. I haven't seen anything coming through for challenger banks and the link with challenger banks. Many startups and SMEs bank with them.
Yeah.
What have you heard around the challenger bank situation?
Not a great deal. They aren't part of the 40
Correct.
lenders for the Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan Scheme. They are themselves tech companies who are funded by venture capitalists. So they will, they're either going to have to seek their own support directly from the government or from their shareholders. So, but they are not participants in the Business Interruption Loan Scheme, and nor were they previously for what's called the EFG. Okay, the Job Retention Scheme. I think this was mentioned.
It was.
Yeah, so it's obviously key to try and reduce your fixed costs as quickly as you can. So I know that there were some businesses which acted very quickly last week in making redundancies and getting employees to agree 50% or more reductions in salary. So if you furlough employees, you send them, well, everyone's at home, but you say, look, no more work from you, and they continue not working, then the government will pay up to 80% of their salaries, up to a total of £2,500 gross salary per month, and that's for March, April, and May this year. That will be reimbursed from April. There are a lot of questions which are coming up out of this, such as how will this part-time employees who are paid by the hour, how will that work? And all I can say is, as soon as we get detail, we're putting it on our site, and we're sending it out in our daily newsletter. There are some grants and credits. So the £10,000 and £25,000 business rates relief you can see here. I'm not going to go into to detail here on those, but there is information up on our website which links through to the government websites as well. Innovate UK grants were mentioned. I think they're great, although it's worth bearing in mind they may not solve short-term cash problems, because more often than not, I think they're paid in arrears. I've mentioned the startup loan scheme, and then finally, if there are any of you who are raising equity finance at the moment and are mid-round, try and do your best to close that round as quickly as possible, even if it means doing something called an advanced subscription agreement or a safe note.
Okay. How long do you think, Adam, both these, the Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan scheme and also the Job Retention Scheme, this is a fast-moving environment, how long are they open for? They're open, both of them are open now. How long has it been purported that they're open for, Adam?
Okay, the Job Retention Scheme is open until the end of May, and the Chancellor said he'll extend it longer if he needs to. The Business Interruption Loan, I'm kind of looking at Andrew for a nod or a shake, but I think that's no close date has been put on that for the minute. And
there hasn't, there hasn't been any close date. I think there's been an overall amount of money committed by the government for it. But the government have also said that if that money is used up, they would make more money available. I mean, it is guarantees that the government's making available at this moment. They only have to pay if the business can't pay the loan back.
Okay, thank you. I've got a couple of questions. It's primarily around the job retention scheme that the questions have been asked. So if from looking through, as I had a look through, couldn't see the answer to it, but question was, does this scheme apply to part-time staff? If anyone's got a definitive answer. Andrew, you're nodding, is that?
I'm nodding because I have no reason to believe it doesn't apply to part-time staff. I would doubt the government could discriminate in that way.
Sure. Can those who are furloughed during this period engage in freelance work during the period that they are furloughed? Does anyone feel confident in answering that, or will I check out with one of our HR folks on this?
I would be very cautious if you're doing that. Be very, very cautious, especially if you're furloughing them and then they're contracting back to work for you. To me, I think that doesn't sound right, and if it doesn't sound right, don't do it. Sure.
So my understanding of this, and I would only say this advisedly, so I'm not claiming to be an expert on it. My understanding is if the staff member is furloughed, then they do not do any work for your business. And in fact, you may even consider closing down their email access for that period, just to demonstrate that that the member of staff truly is furloughed. You'd obviously keep in contact with them, perhaps through a personal email or phone number. But could the member of staff then take on some other work outside of that? Perhaps working on a freelance basis or taking on a bit of temporary employment. That one, when I looked at that, looked more like a moot point. It wasn't very clear. It would probably be safer to assume that the answer would be no, because they would be getting 80% of their salary. But then people that are paid more than £37,500 a year wouldn't be getting 80% of their salary, because the maximum is £2,500 per month, possibly including employers' costs, if employers' costs have to be part of that as well. So that one, I think it is just going to be watch this space, whether the furloughed member of staff could take on freelance or other work. But I'm pretty clear it certainly couldn't be for the employing organisation.
Sure. Thank you, Andrew. One final point around this, and again, we'll push this out to our HR contacts as well to see if they can get any more up-to-date advice, although it's changing regularly. And the question is a salesperson who's furloughed, can they still be paid historic commission? I don't know if anyone feels comfortable in answering that, or will Andrew? Yeah.
So the employer can basically claim up to 80% cover of somebody's salary costs up to a maximum of £2,500 a month. So if these historic commissions could be paid within that by the employer, fair enough. Also, some employers might choose to still pay the 20% extra. So, even though we're saying that the member of staff would only be covered at £2,500 a month maximum, if the employer wanted to top that up, or if the employer had funds that they wanted to pay historic commissions from, but we are in emergency circumstances, and some of this is going to have to be negotiated, I would imagine, between the employer and the employee, and there may need to be a bit of give and take on both sides here.
Just a question around that. If the furloughed employee is being paid their 80%, we've already heard that the HMRC costs are going to be, you can postpone them from would those costs be automatically postponed? The employers and employee NIC, are those automatically postponed as part of this payment?
Yeah, so VAT is automatically deferred, but for PAYE and national insurance contributions, you must call them up. You if you're a business owner, you cannot just stop paying. You're going to get in. You've got to call them up, and they will put a special code on your account. And from our clients' experience, the response that HMRC have been very helpful, and they've said, look, you don't have to pay any PAYE or national insurance contributions until June. I think it's June at the earliest, they've said. So, and they can extend that longer if needs be. That's been their line so far.
I think the interesting bit for the employers and the employees is going to be if the government is going to pay 80% up to £2,500 a month of salary costs, does the employer say, well, actually, all we're going to get covered is this 80%, so we will take the national insurance and PAYE out of that as well, and you'll be paid the net amount. So as there's actually no, so as the employer is getting the total cost covered, because for some employers who maybe have no money coming in at all, they and still have possibly some of their own costs to still cover, and some of the business costs to cover as well. They may take the view that even though, as Adam says, HMRC are deferring claiming that money back, the employer might be reluctant to build up debt.
Yeah. Folks, we are running short of our time. I don't have any more questions at the moment coming in. However, we are all part of the SBN community. Please feel free to reach out. As I say, there's great detail on the websites for Ignition Law and Ignition Finance, and you're daily sending out updates on it. So thank you for that, Adam. And I would definitely say it's very practical advice. I know, Andrew, you're always at the end of a phone there. So please make use of this global diaspora. That's what we're here to do. We're here to support. We're here to provide factual evidence. So we do hope that this has been of interest to you and is, more importantly, of value. Anything more that SBN and our global members can do to support you, please do not hesitate to ask. As Grant's just said there to everyone, stay safe, stay well, and we will continue with this, usually on a Tuesday. It's our date. We'll keep everybody informed. As I say, we'll provide this recording out later this week. We'll provide the recording from our man in Beijing. Anything more, folks, please don't hesitate to ask, and keep safe and well. And thank you for your time. Many thanks.